year so far. A lot of negatives dwelt on in this game, but one of the out-and-out highlights of the year has been at Arden Street, where the Kangaroos, who many people said could finish down the bottom of the ladder, what was the relevance of them, what were they all about, sack the coach, all the usual business, and they're playing wonderful, exciting football and winning. And their coach is Brad Scott, who's with us tonight.
Just before we start, coaching is meant to be an ageing thing. People, when you see the coaches of today, when they first started, look completely different. At the turn of the century, you looked exactly the same as you do today. Are you getting anything done to yourself?
I think I was a very old 21-year-old back then, but no, exactly the same playing weight as that photo back then, just redistributed somewhat.
Yeah, and most people only ever see you at press conferences, and you have that clinical, austere, sort of serious demeanour. You're not. You're quite a bon vivant. You're quite a buoyant man, aren't you? But we never see it.
No, I think footy's a pretty serious game, particularly post-game. Press conferences are always a very interesting experience, and depending on the result of the game, it's always going to be a little bit different. But I think there's still room in footy for people to see your real personality come through, and maybe I should show it a little bit more.
So do you get ticked off at the people not trying to take a rise out of you, trying to get some headlines by asking you provocative questions at press conferences, or do you like to bat back at them?
No, it doesn't really concern me. I mean, when I'm speaking at press conferences, there are two main stakeholders, I suppose, that I'm talking to, and the number one group of people I'm talking to is our players. And players listen very closely to what coaches say in the media, so it's really important you get your messaging right there. And then we're talking to our fans. So I think press conferences are a great way for all the fans of North Melbourne to hear about their footy club, and so you need journalists who are going to ask decent questions so that you can get the right messages out there.
Sam, it's interesting at the moment that's one of the key things is, are the senior journalists going to the press conferences, or are you getting people who are going down to throw a rock to get a gotcha moment?
That's right.
Let's roll some videotape. John Worsfold's gone through some interesting press conferences in the last week.
Is there a sense of relief after what certainly externally, and you might describe, appeared to be a trying week? No relief?
No.
Just what is the emotion then?
Focus on going forward, getting where we want to get to.
What did please you the most, because you don't seem overly pleased?
No, I'm pretty happy. Yep, I'm wrapped.
John, it seems like we've seen two different types of Essendon in the last 2 weeks on the field. Which one's the Essendon that you believe?
Which one do you think I might believe if I gave you a choice?
So, which one's closer to the Essendon?
Which one do you reckon?
I'm asking.
Yeah, okay. The second one.
Yeah. Which one do you want? The one that got flogged by Carlton, or the one that flogged Geelong?
Just incidentally, while we're on that, some have said that it would be not more entertaining. Well, it would be more entertaining, and maybe the coaches would enjoy it if they did press conferences together. The two opposing coaches were there together doing the press conferences.
Yeah, I'm sure it'd be more interesting. That's been floated on a number of occasions.
You wouldn't like that?
Well, it'd be interesting to say the least. If we won every week, I'd be fine with it.
Yeah. Sam, don't let your memory slip too far. You used to do that on World of Sport. It was called Club Corner.
Yeah,
on a Sunday
exactly
morning,
right.
the two coaches would get in there, and half the time they'd want to punch on with each other afterwards. So it wasn't that great an idea.
Well, speaking of punching on, I used to play with Brad early on, and I've been quite amazed, because he is very calm when he does talk to his players and does talk to his group. But I'll tell you, at training, even with his teammates, he would just punch on and take anyone out whenever he possibly could. So there's no doubt, behind closed doors, surely you rip in.
I think there's a time and a place for it.
So that's a yes?
No, well, it is, but it's calculated. When I played, I was amazed when coaches would, abuse a player or call him weak and expect him to go out and play better after that. So I think there's a time to be calculated and give a player a bit of a rev. But as long as you're trying to achieve an objective, I think as soon as a coach starts letting his frustrations out on the players, then that's a very quick way to lose your players.
Yeah, don't worry. Back in 2001, you weren't very calculated. We were beating you at Optus Oval, and I think Big Lance had just kicked a goal. and we were hammering you guys, and you were all up and about.
Lance Whitnell, that
Lance,
was not
Lance Whitnell, yes, no, Lance
thank
Whitnell.
you,
And we
Brendan.
come up to you and your brother, and we gave you a bit of a serve, and we're not the brightest tools in the shed. And
would
you
be the
two,
sharpest
tools in the
tools in the
tent.
shed,
That was
It's not rocket surgery. It's not rocket surgery,
that was the
Brendan.
joke, Sam. That was the joke.
I'm sorry.
Come
Yeah,
along with
well,
me.
you got us there.
And you and your brother come up to me, and I was only a young 19-year-old, and you gave me the biggest serve I've ever copped. I absolutely shit myself. I was never been more scared. And then you went in, and I don't know what happened. I've asked Lynchy this story, but you didn't lose another game for the rest of the year, and then you went on to win 3 flags after that game.
Yeah, it was you were the catalyst.
Thank you. I finally did something for Brisbane. Thank you. Thank you.
Now, Brad, you've been... Just on it, what happened?
No, I remember that game
big
vividly.
meetings.
Probably not for that reason, but because of the scoreboard, we got absolutely hammered. And the next week, I think we lost to Adelaide by maybe 5 points. But the week after, we played an undefeated Essendon team who won the premiership the year before. And we won that game, and we didn't lose another game for the rest of the year, and went on to win the flag. And then, obviously, 2002 and 3 after that.
Was that the week that Lee Matthews said, if it bleeds, you can kill it?
That was it. Yeah, that was it. Yeah. Whatever works as a coach. If it works, you're a genius. If it doesn't, you're a moron.
Now, you've been the coach for 8 years, I think.
Yep, something like that.
And I think your win-loss ratio is about even. You've won about as many as you've lost. James Brayshaw had faith in you a couple of years ago and reappointed you. There must have been some rocky times, but some elation as well, because I'm one of them. I thought you'd finish almost on the bottom of the ladder this year, and very happy to say I've been proved wrong so far.
Yeah, look, we've got a lot of faith in our experienced players, the guys who have been around for a little while, but there's no doubt our challenge is to develop our young guys. And at the moment, our medical staff have done an exceptional job in giving us a full list to pick from. So we're in a good position right now, but I mean, we've still got a heap of work to do, and there's a lot of excitement around the club. I mean, the redevelopment of Arden Street in North Melbourne as a football club is just a really exciting place to be at the moment. I think the players are reflecting that excitement.
You've got a really exciting brand of football at the moment. Ben Brown, the forward line. You've got Jed Anderson, Billy Hartung. You've got them flying through the middle, chainsawing their way through. That's a new terminology in football, Sam, chainsawing. So it must be really, really exciting having, you know, just this side up and about and actually moving the ball so well.
Yeah, it's something we've prided ourselves on for a long time. We want to be a team that's capable of scoring. And I think when you play the best teams in the competition, it's all very well to defend well and try and hold up, but you're not going to beat the best teams very often unless you can put them on the back foot and score against them. So that's certainly been a focus for us, and this year we've improved our back half and our defensive system. So that
Majak Dawes gone back?
Yeah, Majak's been fantastic for us down
brilliant.
back. Yeah, it's to be honest, I mean, we played him forward, but he was behind Ben Brown and Mason Wood and a couple of others. We played him in the ruck, he was behind Todd Goldstein. So we really wanted to give him the chance of playing as a genuine defender and cementing his spot, and he's done that.
All right, Brad, stick with us, but there's a few more things to talk about. There's a lot of news about you blokes being into one of my blokes at the moment too. I want to ask you about that when we come back, okay?
Scotty Pendlebury, is it?
Scott Pendlebury, yes.
Now, Brad, let's get straight to it. There's been a lot of news about Jordan De Goey this week. Oh, hello there. Geez, even Eddie's trying to stop this.
See what happens.
See what happens. Now, Eddie, they've done a lot with him over the last couple of months. You know, he's been in a bit of froth and bubble. But down at Kangaland, they're nice down there. Get him down there on a nice big fat contract.
He's a good player.
Good player, star.
Yeah, it's only round 10. I said at a press conference today, I'm going to get asked this question, I reckon, for the rest of the year.
Just say yes or no.
Yeah, well, we're looking to get better. But our focus is on trying to make our football club a really good football club that other players that think, I'd love to play my footy there. But as for individual players, I'm not going to get too caught up in that.
You've got good form. You nearly pinched Dustin Martin last year.
Yeah, we didn't, did we? So near enough's not good enough on those sort of
We've
things.
got a little bit of money in the salary cap.
Yeah, so our list manager tells me.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, but
Jordan De Goey, very good player. Eddie. I tell you what,
player.
he's
I'd go
playing
big
very
on
well
him,
in the forward
Brad.
line, but I think he's better in the midfield. You'd be crazy not to have a crack at him, Brad.
I'm just the coach. I'm a lowly coach. The list manager's picked
I think we better stop. I think Ed's going to.
It's about the blow.
Why don't you get him and try and play him in the ruck like that very close relation of yours down the road at Geelong did with Dangerfield?
Well, it's the modern game, Sam. We play Fremantle this week, and Nat Fyfe's spending some time in the ruck, and all the superstars are spending some time in the ruck, so Croft could make a comeback and maybe play in the ruck.
Now, Brad,
Where do you want it, boys?
I'm going back to the days when Alex Marcoux and Sam were getting around a little bit on this situation, but when you see somebody like a Dangerfield or somebody like this week, if Nat Fyfe goes into the ruck, do you just say to big Majak Door, son, go in there and just run straight at him?
Take his ribs
And
out.
go straight through him.
Take the agates out immediately.
Yeah, that's
Give away a free kick, don't worry about it.
Yeah, that's the plan. Unfortunately, Majak's not going to play this week.
No,
so
that's all right.
he's full. But no, you'd be surprised. I reckon I saw Fyfe up close, and the modern,
he's 6'5",
the modern day midfielders, they're just enormous. I mean, back when I played, and Croft, you'd back me up on this. Maybe not Croft, but we were sort of taller midfielders.
No, he's a dwarf.
Cross the garden.
They're massive now, these guys.
How tall are you, Sam?
He is legally a dwarf.
How tall are you?
I'm 190.
What's that now?
6'3.5".
6'3.5", you'd be a midfielder now.
Yeah.
But a bloody good one.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Now, Brad, obviously we don't want to talk about Jordan De Goey, but I'll tell
No,
you
we
what.
don't. Move on.
No, I know. We're not going to talk about that. But Darcy Moore's a very good
No.
player.
Let's have a look at Hawthorn and West Coast Eagles now.
West Coast were very good last weekend. Come over here to Melbourne. It's got to win in Melbourne. They're sitting on top of the ladder, and it's good to see we've got one of the champion full forwards of our game, Joshua Kennedy's mum's in the house today, so say good day to Joshua. Well, there she is. She's come over to support the boy. They're going well. They're going well, Corf, and the Hawks are going to have to be at their best to knock over the ladder leaders.
Yeah, had a week off last week against Brisbane, the Hawks, but I expect them to bounce back, although I'm not sure they can beat West Coast in the form they're in. Jack Darling absolutely flying, and just a new side. The pressure's amazing.
Jack Darling.
You would have watched them a fair bit, Brad, but their pressure at the footy and around the ball is incredible.
Yeah, they've been fantastic this year. And I thought really impressive against GWS a few weeks ago with McGovern out, Nat Nui out, obviously Shuey's injured as well. So it's not just the top end that are doing for them. They've got really good balance at the moment.
McGovern's a good player. He's out of contract too.
Brad, quickly, mate, West Coast Eagles have been a revelation this year.
Yeah, they have. Just really pleased for Adam Simpson, just doing a fantastic job over there. And, you know, as I said before, I think the balance that they've got right at the moment is fantastic. There's a lot of attention, obviously, on Kennedy, as there should be, and Darling and McGovern down the back, but they've introduced some really good young players this year, and they're playing a great brand, so it's going to be a terrific game this weekend against Hawthorn.
Now, you're involved, are you not, in trying to revolutionise the game on some sort of committee to make sure it's a nice spectacle for everyone to go and watch?
Yeah,
what would you do? What was your main plank in your platform to get the game in favour of the public who watch it?
Well, I think the number one thing to do is to engage the fans and see what sort of a product they want to see. I mean, I've always been...
tell you that.
Well, I think when you ask fans, do you like congestion?
No.
I don't hear too many people say they like it. But then again, I hear a lot of fans saying we love the contested element of the game. So those two things don't necessarily go together. So what we want to see is, in my view, is a strong contested game where all players make the ball their object, but also a game in which the ball flows around and there are goals kicked.
Now, you haven't got a line on your face, mate. You've had something done to yourself. You've had some work done.
Have you got any suggestions, Sam?
Yeah, I think I should. I'm just having a look around the back. Something's happened, Brad. You couldn't look that good.
No, there's... I'm not going to coach forever, mate, so if I keep coaching, I'll age very quickly in the next 5 years, I guarantee
Brad,
that.
having said that, you might enjoy the greatest year of your life, and you're going beautifully at the Kangaroos.
Yeah.
Thanks very much for coming on the show tonight.